There she is. There she is. Come here. Yeah. Come say hi. You want to tell them, hey, I'm locked in for the night. I was being a menace to the neighborhood. Yeah. She was, but she's here now. And we're ready to start this video. What's up, guys? I'm Gregor, and today I uploaded my first ever track to SoundCloud titled Rodan, a little acid techno, and in this video I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite parts. And hopefully you take something from it, hopefully you like it. If you haven't heard it yet, there will be a link, so go ahead and check that out, and let's get into it. Sorry about the lag, can't seem to avoid that without you guys. You don't care, probably. All that matters is your ears, right? So, here we go. Little intro. Couple things to go over here. The textures, mainly. Starting with the hat texture. Sounds like this. We got that from Little Splice Loop. New drum pack this week, 80s Drums Reloaded. And they had this in there, which is fine. Just it's too slow and it's kind of a weird groove. And there's a kick in there. So high pass filter, speed it up, chop it up, and we got our texture. We paired that with a little bass texture, which I never intended to be a texture at first. We were making this bass sound. And didn't like how it was sounding at all. So I come in here, throw some, hey, good things can happen when you throw a delay and reverb in front of your compressor. And in this case, I saw how cool it sounded. So I decided to throw the mix up to 100% and we get our texture. Just, I mean, instantly the techno vibes are there and you love it. We also introduced the acid in this intro. We got like a watered down version, not nearly what our final acid sounds like, but the groove's there with the MIDI, and we recorded a delay, and we'll listen to that now. This delay is going the entire song. Just giving you a hint of what's to come. And we get into the first drop where we have literally all of the essential components. We have our kick and bass. We went with a rumble bass, and I love it. I love rumble. I really do. Guys like Alignment come to mind. He's my main. He put me on to rumble, honestly. It just makes your kicks feel like they weigh a ton. So how I built this rumble was from a YouTube tutorial months ago, it feels like. And it was just the noise and the sub. It might have just been the noise. I added the sub, and I added this oscillator for a little tone because we end up automating that tone with the coarse pitch and this LFO, just giving the rumble a bit more movement. Very nice. Little reverb before compressor. Again, stop box distortion, and a phaser adding to the movement as well. Very heavy. Love the vibes. Moving on to the calling card, what most people will remember about this track is the acid. And it came in several variations. We were messing around with a lot. I've never made acid before, so we went with it, and we ended up going with 3 different saw waves. Who wants one when you can have 3, huh? These two really provide the meat of the wave, or of the sound, I would say. Doesn't sound like much, but it gives it that, like, makes it dirty, and with all the processing, just sounds like it's kind of snarling at you. Then you throw in the saw subwave for tone, and you got your sound. Beautiful. Let's go over. You'll see these waves moving again. Sorry for the lag. Can't really do anything about that at the moment. You see these waves moving. You also see this filter moving. That's all with the envelope here. You can see the settings there. Little mistake here. Always turn your randomness. Oh, not always. When you're making bass, you want to turn your randomness down and your levels up. That was a missite. I typically do, and I did on this version of the Acid. You can see here. I made a mistake, and I started from scratch, and I forgot to do a key step. Unfortunate, does change the sound, and I can't do anything to change that now because the song's already released. Oh no. It's okay. It's a pretty minute change, but to me it matters. So it's unfortunate. Anyway, ignore, we did no processing here. These are all off. We tried something else because we just weren't getting the sound that we wanted. We threw sausage on it. I believe fatness up to 33% and color up 100%. Threw that into OTT, and then this is where we do our serum processing with serum effects. We got a diode distortion on there, diode 1, another multiband, and we're actually using hyper. I typically don't, but I liked how it sounded here, and we're automating that hyper with this LFO. Unison's up to 7 is kind of wild, but here it is. And doesn't look like we're using it, but we actually are. The dimension's up to 5%, and then a high pass filter on that as well. And that, throw a limiter on that, add some gain to the high end, and throw it on a plate, and you got your sound. And here's the MIDI. What I ended up coming up with. We can go ahead and get rid of that. You actually don't hear that at all. We only utilize these first 2 bars. And then the second time it plays in the 8 bars, it is cut in half. So we only use the first bar. Little riff. Just a nice little riff. I love Acid, and I love the ideas you can come up with it. So that's the main calling card of the track. I wanted a fucking screaming Acid, and I feel like I got that. Again, you pair that with the delay, and it makes it feel like there's so much more there. Like, I could listen to that for some time. There's that. Little potty break. You guys don't mind, right? Oh, we're not done with the Acid. Let's go over our automation here. Modulating the pitch and the cutoff in different points to highlight different notes. So here's the first gate. Very nice. I love the sound we get on quite literally just this one note. This sharp little peak just gives it so much character. Oh, that does things to me. Cutoff gets the craziest the third time around. And we do something kind of neat here. When it's at its wildest, we also take it from mono to stereo, and very wide stereo at that, and pan it as well. So as the sound gets super thin at the top here, we're essentially only hearing that sub layer at this point, and it bounces the sound around in your head, and it's just nice to listen to when you got headphones on. I really like how this came out. Oh, return back to bass here. But still has some flavor to it. And then just a little, not even a full semitone on the pitch modulation, a little more than half. And that's playing quite frequently, I would say, by the looks of it. So that about does it for the acid. I think drums are fairly straightforward. We can listen to the drums. Nothing too crazy. Some slight nuances there with the hat layer. Ticks getting panned and separated. So it's dancing around your skull as you're dancing and losing your mind. It really is straightforward. I do like that aspect about techno. But there are key nuances, and one of them being this snare roll here serves as the buildup, and you see it carries over. We turn it into another tick hi-hat. We take it from effects, the effects bus, and we reroute it to the drums post drop. So we'll see, we can see that happening here. That's what these automations are. So from that to this. Call me crazy. I thought that was pretty neat. I've never done something like that before. Proud of how that came out. There's another way, because like you want to introduce another tick. So this entire section's where the drums get more hype. We introduce another tick, another hat, and another snare. And I just thought that was kind of a neat way to introduce another tick. Okay, let's get the not cool one out of the way first. We have this rap sample here that we introduce before the second drop. Let's solo that. Actually, hold on. We can find the original here. Got it off a splice. Don't really care for what he's saying. Fuck what they say, man. They can't hang with this rule boy, but I don't gang bang. I just drop knowledge. He doesn't gang bang. He just drops knowledge. You gotta respect it. I don't really give a shit what he's saying. I just wanted a rap, like cadence and lyrics. And I wanted a dude's voice. And that's what we got. So we chopped the hell out of that and only kept one real meaningful phrase, but with the sidechain compression, you really can't make out what he's saying. And then we also got this delay here as well. And that's a nice little rhythmic chop up to a sample. So that was pretty straightforward. Our first like little effect that we introduced here, I named it Sick Effects. 'Cause it is kind of nice. What we took was this bell off a splice. Took that, and as I do with a lot of my effects, we pitched up 8 semitones, reversed it, and I don't think we stretched it. We just we gated it, right? Yeah, I believe we gated it. We did. Threw some saturation on there, little EQ, and OTT into a gate. It should have been gate into OTT. So there's another mistake that you just caught live. You want to gate into OTT. Let's see the difference. That's the final sound, by the way. Pretty sweet. So there's that, and here's the mistake. Not much of a difference. Okay, so it didn't hurt us too bad. But typically you want to throw your gates into OTT, I would say. So there's that. Cool little effect, and we're panning it from ear to ear. Turning a simple, you can barely even call it a bell, into a nice little transitional piece. Guys, this is the part I'm excited about the most. It's what gave this track its name, Rodan. Rodan is a kaiju, big old pterodactyl, breathes fire, and he's enemies with Godzilla. So what's not to love? But we took this, I'm so proud of this one. We took, from the same pack that we got our hat texture, there's a simple little palm in there. Nothing special at all. We made it special. Let's pull it up. I named it Weird Sound, because originally it was. At first I had it stretch and reversed. It just was a weird groove for the beat and didn't really work. It was also pitched down, just didn't work at all. And I went into last night's sesh. I was like, okay, that has to change. And we did. We stretched it to its absolute limit, so it gets pretty granular, and we pitched it up 3 octaves. So, and threw a heavy reverb on it, as we did with all of our effects. So this now becomes this. That was anticlimactic as hell. This. Just a spooky sound. I mean, that does not sound of this earth. It just does not even sound remotely similar to the tom. Big fan of this. What I did is I took this little front portion, this little first part here. I made that like the squawk of the bird. I'm calling it a bird. It really sounds like otherworldly, but if in the background it does kind of sound like just a big old bird, and that's what I got Rodan from. So yeah, here's a little squawk, I'm calling it. Kind of like you spooked it or something, or you heard it and he's not a fan, and now he's gonna come after you. Now he's gonna fly after you, and this is how we did that. Oh man. So a little saw gate coming into play here, and we pan it. It bleeds over into the next section, and that is intentional because it just sounds pretty sweet, man. We'll play it in full. God, I'm sorry. That just sets the vibes. As if they weren't already set with the textures and the acid and the kick and bass. That is the peak, and that's one of my favorite sounds I've ever made. And that's really going to conclude the video. I hope you took something from this. If not, I'm sorry. Thanks for the view. But yeah, if you learned something, let me know. If I could improve something, also let me know. This is my first video I've done, obviously. It's my first track I've uploaded, so still work in progress. Me, that is. This is done and uploaded. And yeah, hopefully I'll be seeing you guys in another one shortly. Later.